Welcome to the Chanel Rare Penny Empire, to today's fascinating journey into the world of rare coins where history, mystery, and value collide in the most unexpected way. And in this video we are going to dive deep into the astonishing story of the 1970 Liberty United States dime. A coin that at first glance looks like an ordinary piece of pocket change worth just 10 cents but has actually been recognized in the numismatic community and among collectors as one of the most valuable coins ever, with some examples tied to errors and mint mark anomalies being valued at an incredible $39 million, and the journey of how such a small coin could rise to unimaginable worth begins with understanding the era in which it was minted, the significance of the dime in American history, the role of minting processes, and the rare conditions that can turn a simple coin into a legendary treasure. Because back in 1970 the United States Mint was producing dimes as part of the ongoing Roosevelt dime series, which had been introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. These coins were struck in huge quantities for circulation, made mostly from a copper-nickel-clad composition since the use of silver in everyday coinage had been discontinued in 1965 due to rising metal prices. And for the average American these dimes were simply useful everyday currency to pay for goods, parking meters, telephones, and all the little transactions of daily life. But hidden among the millions of ordinary dimes struck in 1970 there exist certain error examples that have stunned collectors and experts because of their unique features, mistakes, and anomalies which completely change their market value and make them worth not just a little premium but millions of dollars. And to truly appreciate why a coin like the 1970 dime could command $39 million, one must explore the types of errors and minting circumstances that could lead to such extraordinary value. For example, certain error dimes from 1970 were mistakenly struck over foreign coins such as a 1941 Canadian dime, creating a dramatic overlap of details where you could see faint traces of another design underneath the Roosevelt portrait. This type of minting blunder was not supposed to happen under the strict quality control of the United States Mint. Yet accidents of this magnitude did occasionally slip through the cracks, and when one survives long enough to be identified, it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find, and this is precisely what happened with the ultra-rare 1970 dime that surfaced in collectors' circles. Another factor that makes such coins so valuable is the presence of mint mark errors, as in 1970 the San Francisco Mint, Denver Mint, and Philadelphia Mint all produced dimes, and sometimes the mint mark letter S or D could be punched incorrectly, doubled, misplaced, or even omitted entirely, creating variations that sharp-eyed collectors treasure. And when these unusual features are combined with a known error like a double strike, off-center strike, or wrong planchet, the result is a specimen unlike any other in existence, essentially a one-of-a-kind coin. And numismatics, the study and collection of coins, places the highest value on rarity and uniqueness. So when a dime from 1970 displays such a perfect storm of rarity factors, its market value explodes beyond imagination, reaching into the tens of millions, far beyond its face value of 10 cents, which demonstrates the incredible gap between nominal worth and collector value. And the $39 million figure reflects not only the rarity of such an error dime but also the passionate demand among elite collectors who are willing to pay astronomical sums to own a piece of numismatic history that no one else in the world can possess. And this demand is fueled by the rich tradition of coin collecting in America, where since the 1800s enthusiasts, scholars, and investors have sought after mint errors, varieties, and oddities, understanding that coins are miniature time capsules that preserve not just monetary value but history, artistry, and stories of human error in manufacturing. And the 1970 dime perfectly embodies this concept, because it tells us about the technological processes of its time, the possibility of mistakes even in highly controlled environments, and the immense value we humans attach to uniqueness. And now let us go deeper into why errors hold such power in determining market value. Because normally a dime is produced in mass quantities with dies that strike the blank planchet to imprint the design, and any deviation from the standard process such as misaligned dies, double impressions, striking on the wrong metal, or the use of an incorrect planchet produces a result that is instantly different from the countless millions of regular coins. And while most of these errors are minor and worth just a few dollars or hundreds at most, some are so dramatic and so rare that their discovery creates a sensation. And in the case of the 1970 dime, the error was so spectacular that only one or two examples exist, and scarcity drives price in the world of collectibles. So when scarcity meets desirability you get a market explosion, and this is how we get to the $39 million valuation. which might sound unbelievable to someone not familiar with rare coin auctions, but history provides plenty of examples of coins selling for tens of millions, such as the 1933 St. Gordon's Double Eagle gold coin that sold for nearly $19 million, proving that collectors will indeed pay record-breaking sums for once-in-a-lifetime rarities, and so the 1970 dime, with its Liberty inscription, Roosevelt portrait, clad composition, and hidden error features becomes a symbol of the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary, a reminder that a simple piece of change lying in someone's drawer or piggy bank could hold life-changing value if it happens to be one of these error-struck treasures, and imagine the thrill of a collector or even a casual person who one day discovers that the dime they thought was only worth 10 cents is in fact valued at $39 million. That life-changing possibility is what fuels the ongoing fascination with coin hunting, metal detecting, roll searching, and numismatic study, because people dream of stumbling upon such treasures, and while the odds are slim, the history of rare coin discovery shows that it is not impossible, and this is why videos like this engage audiences across the world, because they combine history, education, treasure hunting excitement, and the allure of immense financial reward all in one story. And the 1970 Liberty dime exemplifies how every small coin has a story, how errors transform value, how mint marks matter, and how collectors' passion elevates ordinary objects into legendary artifacts worth millions. And so whenever you look at your pocket change, remember the incredible story of the 1970 dime, how a face value of just 10 cents could climb to $39 million through a combination of minting mistake, historical context, rarity, and collector demand. And that is the magic of numismatics, a field where history, art, and human error combine to create treasures beyond imagination. Treasures that remind us to keep our eyes open, because you never know when the next legendary coin might pass through your hands. To another exciting and engaging video where today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and exploring the incredible story of the 1974 Liberty dime from the United States, a coin that on its face value is worth only 10 cents but due to its rarity, errors, minting mistakes, and unique characteristics has been valued at a staggering $22.5 million, making it one of the most astounding examples of how a tiny piece of metal can become an extraordinary treasure when history, rarity, collector demand, and minting anomalies align perfectly to create something truly legendary in the numismatic world. And as we go deeper into this story, we will explore the history of the dime itself, the role of the mint mark, why certain errors skyrocket the value of coins, the cultural and historical background of this 1974 dime, and why collectors and experts around the globe are willing to pay such unbelievable amounts of money for something that most people would overlook as everyday pocket change. And as we begin, it is important to understand that the dime has been a fundamental part of the United States coinage system for centuries, first authorized under the Coinage Act of 1792 when the decimal system was adopted for American money, with the dime representing 1/10 of a dollar, a convenient denomination that was not only practical but also culturally significant as it connected the growing economy of the young nation with its commitment to efficiency, balance, and standardization. And over the years the design of the dime has changed several times, reflecting the history and values of the nation, from the draped bust and capped bust designs of the early 19th century to the seated Liberty which dominated much of the mid-1800s, and later the Barber dime, the Mercury dime, and finally the Roosevelt dime, which was first issued in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the 1974 dime was part of this Roosevelt dime series which has been minted continuously since then. And while the Roosevelt dime is generally one of the most common coins in circulation, with billions struck over the years, it is within this series that some of the most astonishing rarities and valuable errors have appeared, and among them the 1974 Liberty dime stands out in extraordinary fashion, because although it is just another Roosevelt dime to the untrained eye, certain examples produced at the Denver Mint in 1974 contain errors, an anomaly so striking and so unusual that they elevate the value from just a few cents to millions of dollars. And the reason why errors occur in coins is tied to the minting process itself, which involves immense pressure, intricate machinery, and countless repetitions as planchets or blank metal discs are struck with engraved dies to create the final coin. And during this process many things can go wrong. Dies can crack, shift, or clash. Planchets can be improperly prepared. Mint marks can be misplaced or omitted, and sometimes entirely wrong planchets are used altogether, leading to dramatic errors like double strikes, off-center strikes, no mint marks, overdates, or transitional errors, and these mistakes are incredibly rare compared to the billions of perfectly produced coins, which is why when they do occur and survive in circulation they become legendary finds for collectors. And the 1974 Liberty dime is one such example where a mint mark error combined with striking irregularities created a perfect storm of rarity, as the Denver Mint used a die with a misplaced or mispunched D mint mark, and in some cases the coin even lacked the expected mint mark entirely, and in numismatics mint mark errors are among the most desirable mistakes because the mint mark indicates where the coin was struck, whether Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco or elsewhere. And when something goes wrong with this mark it creates a very distinct variety that can be authenticated and treasured. And in 1974 the presence or absence of the D mint mark was not supposed to vary, yet through oversight or machinery mishap some coins show anomalies, and collectors quickly realized the uniqueness of such pieces, and as time passed their legendary status grew, because error coins are not just about rarity but also about the story they tell, about how even in the most carefully controlled systems human error and mechanical limitations can create unintentional masterpieces, and the 1974 Liberty dime valued at $22.5 million is the ultimate example of this principle, as its value has risen not just because it is rare but because it has become symbolic of the fascination with American coinage, the thrill of discovery and the allure of owning something that is literally one of a kind, and the market value of coins is determined by several factors including rarity, condition, historical significance and demand among collectors, and in this case all of those factors converge, as very few of these dimes are known to exist. The ones that survive are in remarkably high grades, the story behind the error is dramatic and compelling, and wealthy collectors compete fiercely to add such a coin to their collection, pushing the price to unimaginable heights, and it is worth noting that the face value of a dime is 10 cents, meaning if you went to a store with it, it would be treated as a simple coin worth 1/10 of a dollar, yet in the numismatic marketplace it carries a price tag of $22.5 million, a gap so vast that it sparks wonder, excitement and fascination, reminding us that money is not just about intrinsic metal content or legal tender value but also about history, rarity, artistry and human stories, and beyond this specific coin lies the broader field of error coin collecting, which is one of the most exciting areas of numismatics, as collectors are constantly on the lookout for double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, transitional errors where the wrong metal composition is used, and other anomalies, and throughout history such errors have created some of the most valuable coins in existence, from the 1943 copper penny to the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent and the 1913 Liberty nickel, each of which carries astronomical values today. And the 1974 Liberty dime belongs in this elite category of world-class rarities, showing that even in a relatively modern series like the Roosevelt dime, treasures beyond imagination still exist, and if you ever come across a 1974 dime in your change it is worth examining carefully, as although the odds are astronomical, the possibility that you could hold a multi-million-dollar coin in your hand cannot be entirely dismissed, and this is what makes coin collecting so exciting, because it combines history, art, chance and value in ways no other hobby can. And to fully appreciate this 1974 Liberty dime it is useful to revisit the context of the 1970s in America, a decade of economic challenges, inflation, political upheaval with events like Watergate, and changing culture, and in this setting the dime was a stable part of everyday commerce, used in vending machines, telephones and countless small transactions, and no one at the time imagined that one of these coins could one day be valued in the tens of millions. Yet history has a way of surprising us, and the coin that was once worth only 10 cents has transcended its role as money to become a legendary artifact, and in the collector community the story of this dime is shared with awe, discussed in books, articles, online forums and auction houses, each time reminding us that the boundary between ordinary and extraordinary is sometimes as thin as a tiny mark of metal, and while some may doubt how a coin could possibly be worth so much, the answer lies in the unique culture of collecting where passion, scarcity, prestige and financial power intersect. Where owning a coin like the 1974 Liberty dime is not just about money but about being the custodian of a national treasure, a symbol of American history and minting artistry, and for the future there is no doubt that the value of such rarities will continue to grow as the number of collectors increases, as numismatics gains more attention from investors and as historical artifacts gain even greater cultural value in a digital world, making this dime not only a precious item today but also a wise long-term investment, and in conclusion the 1974 D Liberty dime stands as a shining example of how a small piece of metal can carry immense value, not because of what it buys in a store but because of the extraordinary story it tells, the rarity it embodies and the passion it ignites in collectors. And so the next time you see a dime, take a moment to appreciate the possibility that even the smallest coin can hold secrets, and maybe, just maybe, you too might one day stumble upon a treasure worth millions hidden in plain sight. Dear viewers and coin enthusiasts, to another exciting journey into the world of rare and valuable coins where history meets hidden treasures and where a simple piece of metal that we often overlook in our daily lives can turn out to be worth millions of dollars. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1976 Liberty United States dime, a coin that carries a face value of just 10 cents but has stunned collectors, historians, and numismatists around the globe by reaching an astronomical worth of $32 million due to its extraordinary errors, minting mistakes, and unique variations that elevate it from common change into one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in existence. And as we unravel this story, we will uncover the history behind the Liberty dime, the intricacies of mint errors that transform ordinary coins into rare gems, the thrilling possibilities that explain why this particular coin has achieved such incredible value, and the broader lessons about collecting, preserving, and identifying rare coins that could one day change your life if you happen to stumble upon such a treasure in your pocket change or an old collection sitting forgotten in a drawer. Now, the 1976 Liberty dime holds a very special place because it was minted during the bicentennial year of the United States, when the entire nation was celebrating 200 years of independence and the U.S. Mint was producing coins with great historical significance. While quarters, half dollars, and dollars of that year proudly carried special bicentennial designs to honor the occasion, the dime remained unchanged, bearing the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, which has been the design since 1946. Yet it is precisely within this apparent normality that lies the seed of rarity, because certain dimes minted in that year suffered from astonishing mistakes at the mint. And today these coins have become legends whispered among collectors. First, we must understand the role of mint errors. Minting a coin is a complex process that involves the preparation of metal planches, the creation and usage of dies for striking the design, and the striking itself, which must occur with extreme precision. Any variation at any step can create an anomaly, from off-center strikes to double dies, from missing mint marks to planchet errors, and these anomalies are what collectors call mint errors. While most mint errors may fetch a few hundred or a few $1,000s at best, certain rare and spectacular errors combined with historical significance and a very low survival rate can catapult a coin into the multi-million-dollar category, and the 1976 Liberty dime in question is a shining example of this phenomenon. Imagine a tiny coin worth only 10 cents suddenly valued at $32 million. The staggering difference between its face value and its market value is the result of unique features and errors that make it unlike any other dime of that year. Collectors speak of missing mint mark errors, where the letter indicating the minting location, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco, is absent from the coin. Such missing marks on certain years, especially during the 1970s, became highly collectible, and the 1976 dime with such an error is believed to be one of the rarest in the world. In addition to mint mark anomalies, some of these dimes were struck with dime misalignments, resulting in off-center impressions where the design is shifted to one side, creating an unusual and eye-catching appearance. Others show doubling on the lettering and numbers, known as double die errors, where the inscriptions such as Liberty or the year 1976 appear slightly duplicated due to a misaligned hubbing process. Each of these errors adds layers of rarity, and when combined in a single coin they elevate it to mythic status. The coin that has reached a market value of $32 million is believed to combine multiple anomalies, including a missing mint mark, a double die error, and possibly being struck on an experimental planchet or a foreign metal intended for another denomination. Such a combination is almost unheard of, and that explains why collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums to own it. But why is there such demand for rare coins? It is because coins are more than money. They are artifacts of history, miniature works of art, and symbols of national identity. When errors occur, they capture a moment of human imperfection within an otherwise standardized and controlled system. They become frozen mistakes that tell a story about the minting process, the year of issue, and the rarity of chance. Owning such a coin is like holding a fragment of history that no one else possesses, and wealthy collectors driven by passion, pride, and investment potential are willing to pay millions for the privilege. The 1976 Liberty dime thus serves as a beacon for the entire coin-collecting world, showing that hidden treasures can still be found, perhaps in an old jar of change inherited from grandparents, perhaps in circulation although chances are slim, or perhaps purchased at a flea market by someone who does not yet realize its worth. Countless stories circulate about lucky individuals discovering such rarities in the most unexpected places, and each story fuels the dream of coin hunters worldwide. Imagine the thrill of finding a dime that could change your life forever, turning a simple piece of pocket change into a fortune worth $32 million. Now, when discussing the value of such coins, it is important to understand that the coin market is driven by rarity, demand, condition, and provenance. Rarity refers to how many such coins exist. Demand refers to how many collectors are actively seeking them. Condition refers to the grading of the coin from circulated to mint state, and provenance refers to the history of ownership, which can add prestige to a coin. The 1976 dime, with its unique combination of errors, scores extremely high in rarity since only a handful, if not just a single known example, exists. Demand is sky high since collectors across the globe dream of owning such a piece. Condition is excellent since the coin was preserved rather than worn out in circulation. And provenance is legendary because such a coin has been documented and spoken of in numismatic circles for decades. All these factors combine to justify its market value of $32 million. To put this in perspective, a dime is worth just 1/10 of a dollar or 10 cents, yet this one is worth as much as a private jet, a luxury mansion, or a collection of high-end supercars. The difference between face value and market value is so immense that it symbolizes the power of rarity and human fascination with uniqueness. But this story also highlights the importance of learning how to identify rare coins. Collectors and even beginners must train their eyes to spot errors such as double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, planchet anomalies, and other oddities. One must also become familiar with the normal characteristics of coins for a given year, because only then can deviations stand out. For instance, in 1976, normal dimes should carry a mint mark unless they were produced in Philadelphia, which at that time did not use a mark. Yet when a San Francisco proof dime is missing its S-mint mark, then that is a major rarity. Similarly, studying the lettering, the date, and the design elements under magnification can reveal doubling or misalignments that ordinary eyes might miss. Countless valuable coins have been discovered by people who simply took the time to examine their change carefully. This knowledge empowers not only professional collectors but also ordinary people who might one day stumble upon hidden treasure. Another fascinating aspect is the connection of the 1976 dime with the broader history of Liberty coins and American coinage. The word liberty has appeared on U.S. coins since the very beginning as a symbol of freedom, independence, and national pride. From early copper cents featuring Lady Liberty to silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars bearing her image, the concept of liberty has always been central. By 1946, the Roosevelt dime replaced the Mercury dime, yet the inscription Liberty continued across the top of the obverse, reminding citizens of the nation's core values. Thus, even though the 1976 dime features Roosevelt rather than Lady Liberty, the word liberty remains inscribed, binding it to centuries of coinage tradition. This continuity of symbolism is part of what makes coins meaningful beyond their metal content. They are tiny carriers of national ideals. And when an error occurs in such coins, it adds to the mystique because it shows how even symbols of unity and perfection can bear human flaws. The 1976 Liberty dime, valued at $32 million, is therefore more than a rare coin. It is a story of America's history, a testament to the unpredictability of minting, and a reminder that extraordinary value can be hidden in ordinary places. For anyone listening to this story, there is a spark of hope and curiosity. Who knows what treasures may be lying in your collection, your pocket change, or that forgotten jar of coins at the back of a closet? The world of numismatics is full of surprises, and this legendary coin serves as proof that miracles in metal still exist. So as you explore the fascinating universe of coins, always remember to look closely, cherish the details, and never underestimate the humble pieces of change that pass through your hands, because one of them might just carry the power to transform your life forever with a value beyond imagination. And as we conclude this incredible journey into the story of the 1976 Liberty dime worth $32 million, we are reminded that coins are not just money, but stories frozen in time, mistakes that became masterpieces,